Sahajanand Swami Maharaj Ni Jai, Vachnamrut number 170. Shriji Maharaj is asking all seekers, સ્વાભાવિક પ્રકૃતિ છે તે શે ઉપાયે કરીને ટળે. How do we overcome the limitations of our own core nature? First of all, do we realize that we have limitations in our own core nature? This Vachnamrut is very short, but every word that he is saying, if we introspect on it, we will realize that sometimes we are not even acknowledging that in my swabhav, in my prakruti, there are some things that need to transform. એ સ્વભાવ મુકાવ્યા સારું જે સત્પુરુષ ઉપદેશ કરતા હોય. He begins with a statement which validates that on our own we cannot do it. We need a Satpurush. એ સ્વભાવ મુકાવ્યા સારું જે સત્પુરુષ ઉપદેશ કરતા હોય. When somebody takes interest in helping us overcome these shortcomings or helping us improvise on our core nature, that in itself is a start, is a blessing. Do we allow a Satpurush to work on our swabhav? Have we given that right or ownership to a Satpurush? Till the student doesn't allow a teacher to work on his or her own self, a teacher is helpless, because the student will only listen to things that selectively appeal to the student and not to what is necessary for the student. There's two different things. What is necessary for me may not be very likable by me. But once I decide that yes, my teacher is my well-wisher, and whatever my teacher is telling me is something that I need to listen to because it's for my own good. અને તેના વચનને વિશે અતિશય વિશ્વાસ હોય. There should be unshakable faith and trust and belief in the Satpurush that whatever they are saying, I don't need to logically analyze it. I know that they have walked farther than me on this path. They have elevated, they have benefited, they have grown, they have evolved, they have transformed, they have seen more seasons, they have got more exposure, they are wiser, they are divine implantations in my life. I must trust them. But the ego doesn't allow us to trust anyone more than our own self and our own mind. So the first thing he says is that we must need a Satpurush, we must trust the Satpurush. અને ઉપદેશના કરનારાની ઉપર સાંભળનારાને અતિશય પ્રીતિ હોય. We must be in love with the Satpurush, with the teacher. If we are not in love with this person who is wanting our transformations more than ourselves, for whom our dreams are more important than our own self, for them our liberation is utmost priority, even when for ourselves the process of liberation is taken for granted. They wish more good for us than we wish for our own self. If we fail to acknowledge this, that they are individuals who might as well, after being elevated in life, live a life of blissfulness, peace, by their own self, and they don't need to go out and transform other people or help other people liberate. They are doing this out of sheer love and compassion, out of a sense of divine responsibility, out of some divine inspiration, only and only for our own good. And if this does not make us fall in love with them, then we have not understood the definition of love. Somebody who loves us for our growth, for our evolution, for our spiritual enhancement is a blessing. So the second ingredient that is needed to overcome the shortcomings of our core nature is immense love for the one who is giving ઉપદેશ. ઉપદેશ કરનારાની ઉપર સાંભળનારાને અતિશય પ્રીતિ હોય. When the listener loves the preacher or the teacher or the one who's helping, then a sense of openness is with what we hear the things, because what we are going to hear is not going to be pleasant to the ego. અને ઉપદેશનો કરનારો હોય તે ગમે તેટલા દુખવીને કઠણ વચન કહે તો પણ તેને હિતકારી જ માનતો જાય. Is it easy to show somebody a mirror? It's never easy. Is the mirror very beautiful? It's never beautiful. Are these truths very pleasant? No, they are not pleasant. But that is what is needed. The bitterness in the medicine is also having the healing power to overcome the disease. Can the medicine be tasty? We wish it was. When we are going to ask for feedback from anyone for our own growth, is the feedback going to be very rosy? No, then it misses the point. The feedback is going to shake us, break us. The feedback is going to feel like a slap. The feedback is going to feel uncomfortable. But it is beyond our comfort zone that growth happens. ઉપદેશનો કરનારો હોય તે ગમે તેટલા દુખવીને કઠણ વચન કહે. Doesn't the Satpurush know how to give ઉપદેશ without giving કઠણ વચન or without દુખવીને કહેવું, without making us uncomfortable or without making it unpleasant? Can't these transformations happen? No, they can't. The unpleasantness is not in the words that are told. The unpleasantness is in the discomfort, because we have gotten so comfortable in those unpleasant virtues in our own swabhav. We have gotten so accustomed to our own pramad, to our own alas, to our own manipulations, to our own ego, that whenever something is said against it, it causes us dukh. It makes us uncomfortable. તો પણ તેને હિતકારી જ માનતો જાય. But this comfort is for my own good. This attitude of a seeker, no, thank you. I know I am uncomfortable, but I need this comfort because I need to get out of my shell. I need to get out of my habits. I need to overcome this swabhav and prakriti. I need to overcome this conditioning of mine, and it's going to take a lot of effort. And every time when somebody tells us some ઉપદેશ that આપણને દુખાવે, we should feel gratitude that એ આપણા હિત માટે કહે છે. To take that person as somebody who's a well-wisher, who wants good for us, તેને હિતકારી જ માનતો જાય, તો સ્વાભાવિક જે પ્રકૃતિ છે તે પણ નાશ થઈ જાય. પણ એ વિના બીજો કોઈ ઉપાય નથી. How much he is insisting when God is giving this advice in Vachnamrut. How much of truth is there in it is something that we need to believe and trust. If we trust what he is saying, there is no other way out. This is the only way. જેને પોતાની પ્રકૃતિ ટાળવાની ઈચ્છા હોય તેને પરમેશ્વર તથા સત્પુરુષ તે સ્વભાવ ટાળ્યા સારું. ગમે તેટલા તિરસ્કાર કરે ને ગમે તેવા કઠણ વચન કહે તો પણ કોઈ રીતે દુખાવવું નહીં. Even when it feels insulted, even when it feels harsh, even when it feels hurtful, even when it causes a lot of pain, even when it causes a lot of trouble, this is something that our soul needs for its growth. It's not said out of any sadistic ego of the Satpurush. It's not said out of any ill intent of causing us discomfort. It's said with a lot of compassion and empathy, because sometimes we behave like last benchers who just don't want to fall in line with the path. And when the Satpurush feels that now I can't be lenient, I need to get strict, I need to slap for the child's awakening, I need to scold, I need to get a little more strict in a way that it crosses the line. Sometimes when a lot of lenient efforts don't work, a teacher is left with no choice but to make the process a little more serious, a little more gambhir, a little more I'm not getting the right words, but the environment can feel borderline toxic. But that toxicity is because none of the simple, pleasant, soft, nice ways worked. And the growth must happen at any cost. At any cost. And that's when it's intensified. But what he's advising us, ગમે તેટલા તિરસ્કાર કરે ને ગમે તેટલા કઠણ વચન કહે પણ કોઈ રીતે દુખાવું નહીં. We shouldn't allow ourselves to feel hurt or disturbed. ને કહેનારાનો ગુણ જ લેવો. We must keep admiring the Satpurush who's insulting us, who's scolding us, who's slapping us, because that shows how intensely they want our good and how resistive we are to listening to them when they said it in nicer ways. When it is said nicely, we don't listen. When it is said harshly, we don't like. How are we going to grow? If we really want to transform, either we begin to listen and obey and abide when it's said nicely, or we should be okay when it's said not so nicely. The grace is that it's been said to us. એવી રીતે વર્તે તો કોઈ રીતે ન ટળે એવી પ્રકૃતિ હોય તોય પણ ટળી જાય છે. If the essence of what is said in this short Vachnamrut is imbibed as an attitude and an approach of a seeker, of a student, of a learner, then nothing can stop us from growing. And if we didn't understand what is being said, all this that was said was never said to justify the strictness or the inappropriateness of a teacher. This is not said out of proving a point, but he's saying this is the only upaya. When the student is ready, the master appears. Masters are always there in our lives. We don't allow them to work on us, or we selectively allow selective people to work on selective attributes of our shortcomings. This selectiveness doesn't work. If we are an eternal student on the path of spiritual awakening, infinite amount of teachers have taken interest in our growth, and we must be indebted and grateful to all of them. We should be open to all of them. We should trust and believe all of them. We should love all of them. They have nothing to gain if we overcome our shortcomings. There is no ego boost or satisfaction that they are ever going to find if we improvise in our life, in our work, in our seeking. If we liberate, it's just going to give them joy that they could show the path that gave them their liberation to someone else who was lost and was searching for a path. If we claim to be seekers, and if we claim that we really want to liberate, and if our attitude and approach doesn't show this belief, this trust, this love, this gratitude for all the Satpurush, for all those people who gave us free advice, for all those books that came into our life to give us wisdom, to all those teachers and masters and fellow seekers and Kalyan Mitras and Shastras and Kirtans, all of them are God in different forms, who have changed how they look, how they feel, how they appear. But these appearances are deceptive. They are all the same God trying to teach us the same thing. I hope we have this learner's attitude as seekers and learn what we need to. Sahajanand Swami Maharaj Ni Jai.